The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.
Sarah in Chicago took home the Lala tickets for Friday at Grant Park with Q101, Lollapalooza. Brian and Kenzie getting you there in a special viewing area for the 1975. Also, our friends, of course, at Duncan. Chicago runs on Duncan. You'll need a lot of that the whole weekend for Lollapalooza. 4 days.
Hell yeah.
Getting around there. So we got a lot this week going on with 30 Seconds to Mars. We're going to have Jared Leto on the show Friday. So make sure you listen. Jared Leto coming in.
I'm so pumped.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome with the 30 Seconds to Mars shows at the House of Blues. All the information about the After Lala shows at Q101.com. Kenzie and I will be down at Reggie's on Friday at noon for one. So just all over the place. There's so many of these little pop-up shows that we're involved with. So keep track of it at Q101.com and all of our socials.
And also feel free to text us and write us because I think we're going to forget to do some of these things.
Yeah, with the listeners that give us reminder texts.
I'm going to be like Portillo's, like, should you be at Reggie's? I'm like, son of a nutcracker.
Speaking of that and getting a hold of people, it's so easy today. You follow us on social. You can send us DMs, and we answer hopefully with thousands that come in and get back to you quickly on it. 47% of new relationships in Chicago start with a DM through social media. So that's not necessarily meeting somebody and having a long conversation or asking for a phone number and then DMing them. It's just DMing them, just going in, just dropping in. That's kind of blew my mind. I guess I get it, but it's also half start that way now. Half. I don't know how people, our crew members, maybe you're like these people. You check in at 312-591-8300. I'd love to hear the success story of a DM.
Well, I think there's also other things about that. Like, I know a couple who's now married, and they were DM-y, Facebook Messenger, to be exact.
Did they know each other before all that?
No, but they had mutual friends, and his friends were posting pictures with her, and he's like, wait, who is this? How do I not know this friend? So sometimes it's still as if you had, met up at a bar because all your friends are hanging out with somebody, and, then you show interest. It's not necessarily I'm stumbling onto a complete stranger who knows nobody's page because she twerks in videos, so I want to DM her. It's not always that.
Makes a lot of sense.
It adds up to you.
The twerking part.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear stories of that situation, like maybe you in a group and you just DM'd and started. That's I don't use the word boring, but I get that because you're together, you know the person, all of a sudden say, I'm going to shoot my shot, but I don't want to do it in front of my friends. I just want to do it this way and go in. But the weirder one is just not ever meeting them in person, DMing, starting a relationship, and it works. Just never.
It doesn't work. Like, just getting along online doesn't work.
No, I mean, it turns out to a relationship. Like, maybe you get married or maybe you're still boyfriend, girlfriend. I want to hear the evidence of that.
Like keeping it online and people are happy. I go, that doesn't really work.
There's a guy named Manti Te'o who did that for quite some time. The Notre Dame football.
Did it work?
It didn't work, but it worked.
Look at his life.
Well, it worked. Boy, let me tell you something. Did you watch his documentary on Netflix? Yes,
and he's the nicest human being in the world.
People say this a lot when you watch a documentary about somebody that you maybe made fun of at some point, and you get the real truth. I said, not only me, but a lot of people owe Manti Te'o an apology for how that played out, because I assumed he was kind of in on it. And he said in that situation, to become popular, to get a Heisman, to win the Heisman at Notre Dame, and also so instead it ruined his life, and it ruined his NFL career.
It ruined his entire life.
And he was not involved. He was totally scammed. And when you found the person in that documentary, how they were scamming him, it was just no apologies and made themselves look like a victim. It was terrible.
You know what made me feel horrible is I watched that little docuseries about it.
Yeah.
And they have the person that catfished him on it.
Yep.
It's very well done. Everybody you want to hear from is on this docuseries. It's the two people, right? And at the end, they try to give you this silver lining of this person finding peace. Like, now I love myself. But I was angry still because he lost everything. And you're over here like, I found peace. And I go, oh, must be nice. I wanted to punch him in the face. I was really mad.
Yeah, no, there's no, I'm not happy for your peace because you ruined a guy's life.
I wanted to be. I understand that's not the proper viewpoint. So I was like, oh, that's nice. But I just, and they've made up. So it's okay. It's more about Manti I can't say his name.
Manti-Teo.
Manti-Teo. Manatee. I can't do it ever.
Manatee.
It's about him taking the apology. It's his business. I totally understand that. But I had a really hard time watching this docuseries and then being happy for that person because it just destroyed him in his life.
You shouldn't feel bad about that. Don't be happy that you're not happy.
I really struggled with that.
It's terrible. Don't struggle with it. It's over. It was a bad person. Bad person. But I want people to check in and call in and explain the situation. A lot of people are texting in right now. For example, 224 texted in. This woman ignored my DMs for 3 months, but now we're married and planning to have a baby. So how did that not perceive as being a creeper? You know, like he won't stop. He's almost stalking, but it worked out.
What were the DMs? Were they lovely or were they sent a pic? Because it's different.
I don't know what
it's different energy.
That's why we need you to call up and explain to us these situations at 312-591-8300.
We just got a good question, though, and I don't know the answer to this. Shannon texted in and said, does social media sliding in the DMs include dating apps?
This is talking about social media only, not
dating apps.
Not Tinder, not Bumble, not Hinge.
Okay, because I wasn't sure. It's a good question.
Yeah. No, this is just about your Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or whatever you're DMing people on. But I want to hear the success stories like that. Or we had somebody talk on the show one time about how they're in a 12-year relationship, online only, and never have met. And just like Manti-Teo in that situation when he was across the country, like he believed he was in love and all that thing going on like a real relationship.
And what's hard about that is we have so much catfishing knowledge now. So you look at it and go, well, dude, but that was not a thing yet. You have to understand. So people being judgy, it's like, oh my gosh, that wasn't what it was now, that knowledge of getting catfish. People were not pretending to be other people really on social media that we were aware of.
Yeah, then it was all new. And
right.
it was like, what, 15 years ago?
And and the girl that he was talking to, the person catfishing knew that girl. So she was actually taking the photos and sending it to him. So it looked legit. I can't help but
It was
defend
very
him.
well done catfishing, especially for that era.
Really well done. I would have maybe believed it.
Julio checked in, linked up with my wife because the ex-wife was boyfriend with my wife. So many instances where we could have met way before, but we didn't. I met on Facebook, and there we go.
Okay, guess what? Guess who just called in?
Manti-Teo.
Oh, I would have loved that. I'm so sorry, Chaz. I don't mean to steal your thunder. But I would have been really excited.
Ah, damn. Chaz, ahoy.
Ahoy, guys. What's going on?
What's happening? So we're talking about half of Chicagoans start a relationship by DMs. And are you in that situation?
Yeah, so you guys actually just brought my text up on the air where my wife ignored me for 3 months.
Oh. Yeah, Chaz. So did she ever think you were a creeper and a stalker then?
No, she said that she was just going through some stuff in life and just was ignoring me, but she would like reply, and then we would always make like plans to hang out, and then she would always say no for some reason, and then we would reschedule, and then I was just really attracted to her, and we exchanged Snapchats, and then she would ignore my Snapchat. And then one day out of nowhere, I sent her a random Snapchat that I sent out to, like, everybody that I knew. And she replied back. She was just like, I actually like you. You're pretty funny. And then we went on a date a week later. And then we got serious a couple months later, and then we were living with each other within 6 months after that, and then we got married about 1.5 years after that, and now we're planning a baby.
Damn. See, when you said ignored, I pictured that you were sending just all this stuff, and she was not even answering any DMs, and that would come off a little bit creepy.
Oh, sometimes she wouldn't answer me, but, I'm
what are you going to do? You got to be persistent. What were you sending like consistently though? Like, was it always flirty or you just responded to them? Like, what were you consistently messaging her?
Sometimes it would be flirty, but most of the time I would just send her stuff that I would think was funny, like Snapchat videos or, memes or, just jokes. Or if she posted something on her story, I would reply with something. And, eventually she just said that she thought I was funny. And, yeah, that's how I got my wife.
Stealing somebody else's comedy with a meme, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much, stealing copyright.
Stealing copyright.
Whatever works. You shot your shot and it worked. Well, that's awesome.
Look at the fruits of your labor. Look at you.
Nice. Well, congrats. Go ahead.
Thanks. And I definitely married up, so I'm very happy. And, can't wait to have a baby with her. We clearing out my office to make a nursery, and, really excited.
Aww. DM sliding. Less creepy than may appear.
The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.
Talking about kind of an interesting statistic here where half of Chicagoans have met through shooting their shot on a DM and social media. That's how they started their relationship, was through DMs. I always say, shoot your shot. Take a chance. But, don't be creepy about it. I just, I don't know.
That's too late. He already sent it. I should have left it that.
Wait, don't stop. I mean,
Eggplant. It's like, dang it.
I mean, almost everything isn't it hard to not be creepy going into someone's DMs you don't know well and saying something a little bit emotional?
I think some people are smooth talkers, or I guess smooth typers.
Smooth typers.
Smooth typers. Smooth on that keyboard, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it just depends who you're talking to. I always say this. It's never creepy if you're also interested. That's the
Absolutely.
issue.
Absolutely.
That's the true issue.
I know we're not talking about dating apps, but I met Megan on Match, and I sent her a message, and I just said, hey, I know I'm not in your age range, because I'm older than her,
Did she have you capped off? She was not your age?
I was too old for her age range.
How big what's your gap? What is that? What's your age gap?
It's over 10 years.
Over 10?
Yeah, over.
I wanted to talk.
I know. Look at you.
I'm just asking. Jesus. I've talked about mine.
Yeah, yours is almost, yeah. Yours is big, too.
Mine's 18. How much is yours?
Yeah, it's around 13.
What do you mean around 13?
Yeah, it's
you
around
sound like R. Kelly. Say the number. What do you mean? Around.
Fine, whatever. So I said that, and I think I broke the ice a little bit easier and said, hey, why don't we get a beer and get some food, and either way you get a free meal out of it, and see if we get along. Because I really like you. I think you're pretty. Something like that.
I like them young.
Now, if you ask her, we can get my wife on the phone, she will claim that I offered up some kind of radio station prize closet swag, tickets to a concert. She will claim I did that. I don't have Match anymore.
That's so crappy.
It is very bad.
That is so bad of you.
I deny to this day that I did that. But she will tell you. I don't know if she's listening.
She would be the one that wouldn't lie in that situation, because one would affect your job.
How would you not believe me in that situation?
Because you would lie about it, because you're not allowed to do that.
I'm allowed to take concert tickets and give it to a lady.
You are not allowed to take things that we're supposed to give away as prizes and give them to girls that you hope you can sleep with.
Well, it worked out.
Are you just finding that out now?
I'm kind of pausing with that one for a second.
You look shocked.
Oh. Is HR in yet? I don't know. Get in there. Anyway, it worked for me, so it all fine.
Everything's fine.
I did not offer her tickets. I know that in my head, in my memory of everything.
Yeah,
and here we are.
That's an airtight memory.
Coming up on 6 years with a baby, so it all worked out. Ernie's checking in from Lombard. Ernie, ahoy.
Ahoy.
So we're talking about relationships start by DMs. Half of them in Chicago. Did yours start that way?
Yes. It was either Facebook Messenger or Instagram.
Yep. And how'd it go out? How'd it play out? You didn't know the person, or you did?
So we both compete across the United States cage fighting.
Oh.
So I ran into her at a weigh-in and had no idea, and we never talked. And then I tried talking to her at the event, but I mean, sometimes your first televised events, it's so hectic, you don't even really get time because they're pulling you in for interviews and stuff like that. So
I get it. Your first cage match, so it's busy.
Yeah.
It's a busy time.
I just pictured her putting you in an arm bar. Don't talk to me. And she breaks your arm.
Don't talk to me. So I had no time to really ever get a chance to talk to her. So I, shot my shot, and I think it was something like you, hey, I'm interested. I think you're really pretty. We should go out to dinner, and at the worst, you get a free meal. I think it was pretty much that along that lines.
It's a good move. It worked. Maybe you offered up some matches to UFC 273 too. We'll get over there.
It's really not a bad line, because nowadays men don't always want to pay for the date. So it's more enticing to be like, okay, good, I'm not going to pay for this thing.
Is that true?
I know a lot of girls who have gone out and they've split the bill.
I don't believe in
and
that.
stuff like that.
I think Case, the producer, would come in here and say splitting the bill is just fine and it's acceptable, and to talk to the person about what they want to do. Don't do that. You take control of the
Look at him,
situation.
he's already running.
He's running in here as fast as he can. He's kind of. He's very,
Case, you do that? You make your girlfriend pay on dates?
Well, she wants equality. We might as well, go 50-50 on the bill.
or you're broke, and you don't care at all about equality in that
Oh
situation.
no, this is we've been marching for years now. We got the hats and everything. This is exactly what they wanted. This is a step
Big
in the right
marcher?
direction for
You out there
feminism.
a lot?
Oh, my dogs are killing me. I've been marching so much.
What were the equality hats? You said they had hats?
The pink hats.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know about the pink
It
hats.
says girls should pay. He loves to wear it.
Well, I'll get those hats then. I will.
Yeah, no.
But on your first date, didn't you, I thought, maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but didn't you actually kind of clear it beforehand of how you were going to handle the date as far as who's going to pay and everything?
Yeah, I said you got your debit card on you, right?
Are you serious? Case, I hope are you doing the hammy thing for the radio?
No, it's what you wanted.
He also asked.
It's what she wanted.
Yeah.
No, it's not. I've never even met her. Actually, I met her once, but there's not a chance in hell. I don't have to meet her to know that.
But to your point, a lot of women want to do that because they don't want to feel like they owe the guy something. And that's, sadly, there's some pigs out there that think if they buy the dinner, they're owed something.
Never felt that way, though. I felt good about it all.
I get that from
Yeah.
you. I get that energy from
Not
you.
concerned. You can think that, buddy.
Yeah, but I'm enjoying this steak,
Yeah.
and you ain't getting nothing.
Girls got to eat.
Yeah, girl. I got to eat and take a nap.
Yeah.
That's what I got to do.
That Kenzie
First
K
off,
story.
You know how expensive I do. It's true. You know how expensive escorts are? The fact that you think a steak is what I'm worth is a joke.
I don't
Escort
know.
services are very expensive.
I know, I've looked into it.
So, exactly. So, if you are going to think that, if you buy a dinner, you're just owed. If you're going to treat me like that, that's not even true.
What
These
is
prices
I have never looked in the escort service situation.
Well,
What's
in Vegas, you got quoted for how much?
Oh,
Don't lie.
$1,200. She needed rent.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
But I'm talking
My friend got quoted in Chicago at $5,000.
$5,000.
Yes.
What?
And these guys are like, well, you got a side salad. I'm like, oh.
The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.
The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.
Well, this morning at this point, traffic has kind of peaked in this situation, and I know you might need something just to get you through a little bit more of that jam. You remember the song Holla Back Girl from Gwen Stefani, right, Kenzie?
Absolutely. That's how I know how to spell bananas.
You did what now?
That's how I know how to spell bananas. There's not a time that I don't go B-A-N-A-N-A.
Well, here's what Holla Back Girl would sound like if it was done by System of a Down. This might get you just a little bit through traffic here. 20 seconds, enjoy. Which one do you like better?
I don't. Is that a real question?
The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.
It's Brian and Kenzie on Q101. Just heard the Holla Back Girl from If System of a Down did it. But speaking of which, coming up at 9 here, 20 minutes away, we have tickets for the Aftershock Festival. Actually, an incredible trip. It's out in Sacramento. What do they call Sacramento?
Sacktown. And that's actually what they call it. I used to be on the radio in Sacramento.
Did you really?
Yeah.
How'd that go?
Yeah, I mean, I left, but it was warm,
Did you say Sacktown?
No, they literally, we had a sack throwback lunch hour. They like to use the term sack a lot.
Does it annoy you? I'm asking the crew members out there when people call it Chi-Town. I never say Chi-Town.
I feel like nobody really says Chi-Town, but it doesn't bother me because it doesn't sound bad.
Well, Kanye says it in a song. However, people say real Chicagoans don't call it Chi-Town. You know what I mean? But then he did it, and he's from here. So
Okay, well, he had a rhyme, so I mean,
there's a
be a
difference.
little less picky.
You sound like a tourist at some point. At that point, I don't know. I just don't say Chi-Town. I don't say that, and I think I'd probably say Sacktown.
I mean, how often why? We'd be like, if you're coming into Chi-Town on the Kennedy, like, obviously you're not talking.
Okay, I'm going to do it in traffic coming up.
Yeah, say Chi-Town the whole time.
That's coming up also at 9 and 20 minutes. Your chance to get to Sacktown for the Aftershock Festival, which is ridiculous. The lineup of like Guns N' Roses, Tool, Avenged Sevenfold, and Queens of the Stone Age. We have a special package with that coming up at 9.
The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.
The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.
About 6 minutes away from Aftershock Festival, the trip to go see it, the wonderful time. If you like the heavier music, it's all there for you. And they say it comes in threes, with Sinead O'Connor last week, and couldn't have been weirder and on the different ends of the spectrum that happened yesterday. The news of icon Pee Wee Herman passed away at the age of 70 after fighting cancer privately for 6 years. And just the joy he did and the weird career path he had with getting arrested, but also going in the movie Blow and killing it as a serious actor after doing Pee Wee's Playhouse.
The only role I've ever seen him in was in Blow.
Is that
so
right?
I feel like I have a weird perspective on him.
Yeah, the case being, 24
You're like
years
a
old.
comedian? What are you talking about?
Yeah, even though he was kind of funny in Blow at times,
No,
but
he was-
still.
he was pretty funny in Blow.
An amazing movie and a real tragedy, obviously, and just an icon of just memory of being stupid funny.
Was he an inspiration for you? I really don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, in the respect of, hey, you can really be stupid and have fun and don't overthink.
I thought you were just going to stop there.
You can be
really
stupid.
be stupid.
You can be a big idiot and have
Yeah.
fun. That was Brian's inspiration.
Yeah, you can make funny voices because that's what I did. You can make funny voices and make people laugh, and it's okay. And the whole premise of it was, is this really going to work? And then, of course, it attached to everybody's hearts in what he did, and it was amazing. It's a true tragic day with losing an icon, an older. Obviously, I didn't realize he was 70. When you think about Pee Wee Herman being 70, as Kenzie said earlier, you just picture him in that Pee Wee's Playhouse role
Forever.
forever.
They're like encapsulated,
Yeah. And then the other news that happened yesterday is incredibly more tragic. I just always assume someone younger going is tragic. And a huge actor that passed away, Angus Cloud, best known for Euphoria, which was a monstrous show. And Case and Kenzie both were totally, you guys are talking about all morning how much you were into that show.
Oh yeah. And he was phenomenal on that show. Such a young breakout, one of his first major roles, and it's so devastating because he wasn't the main character of that show, but everyone just adored him. I mean, 2 seasons, and he was arguably one of the most popular people from that show, not necessarily even in a lead role. Like, he just did grab everyone's heartstrings, and we all loved him. And it's hard to imagine him not around. It's really hard to imagine the show without him whatsoever. He played such pivotal roles, and his character, you just adored him. And to see him go at 25, he really struggled with mental health, and his father passed away last week, and it just sent him, unfortunately, into a tailspin, so to speak. It really, really devastated his mental health from there. And it's very, very heartbreaking. 25 years old.
Jeez.
It's a crazy story for those that might not be aware, because Euphoria is really the only show that he's done, and it's on HBO, so not everybody sees it, and it was so graphic that maybe it wasn't your thing. But he was not an actor when he was cast for the show. He was a waiter in New York, and the casting agent had lunch at the restaurant he was working at and was so captivated by this guy and his charisma that he offered him a role on an HBO show. It's like something out of a movie, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And I thought a lot yesterday just about the entertainers in our lives, whether they're artists or musicians, and the roles that they have. And you see some actors that come into Hollywood and they have a bit role here and a bit role. I thought about Jonah Hill, where it's like he was the funny guy in 40-Year-Old Virgin, and he was the funny guy in Night at the Museum, and then he worked up to being this leading actor. But then there are some people that come into your lives like a comet, and they're all consuming out of nowhere. And he was one of those guys for me, where one day I didn't know of his existence, and the next day I was floored by everything he was doing, and I wanted to consume everything that I could. And it's such a shame that, stating the obvious here, it's awful for his friends and his family, but it's a shame from somebody that enjoyed his work as an artist that we'll no longer get to see that.
Well, even in the show itself, you saw him, especially in the second season, start to they saw that star power. They saw his talent and what he did to people and how all-consuming he is. And they started to lean more on him. He was just developing in this show. They left you on a cliffhanger that was all about him. Part of the season finale was really him.
It was built into it because the season of the show, so in the show Euphoria, he played a character called Fezco, who was a drug dealer. He was like a drug lord. He was cool. He was just a cool
but
dude.
Like a really nice one.
Like the nicest
Not like
drug
a
dealer you
mean
could have.
one.
No.
Okay, so I was in the show. So he was a nice drug dealer.
Sweetheart. A total
Like
sweetheart drug
literally
dealer.
helped people. Like one of the girls is an addict, and he didn't want her to do drugs anymore because he didn't like that she was an addict. Like, he's a good person.
Ethical consumption under drug dealing.
So he's a
Literally.
straight edge drug addict.
Not quite straight edge.
Okay.
He still partook, but he had this blossoming romance with the naive character on the show, the innocent character on the show that was played by Maude Apatow, who I think does such a good job in that role. And I've been into Euphoria since season 1, episode 1. It's a show that is not a guilty pleasure. It's pure pleasure. I think it's great.
Yes.
But season 2, I was so invested in their ongoing relationship because it was... it was a drug dealer and, for lack of a better term, a good girl. And I was like, this is enthralling. This is incredible. And I selfishly, I wanted to see where it was going to go.
Yeah. Well, listen, Megan, my wife, watched this show when I went to bed because I crashed out early. And then she would come out in the morning. She would say, I don't think you can watch this show with me. Because there's things she wants for herself. And it is really graphic. I know that.
I didn't want my husband to watch it. I'm like, absolutely not. It is littered with naked women, and that's just like not my jam. It ruins the show for me.
I got to catch up by that.
That was a good show.
Yeah.
It's very good. Now it's graphic on both sides, but it's just different,
Yeah. Well, there's I know a lot of our listeners watch it. We talked about it. Very sad. Angus Cloud dead at the age of 25. Ugh. And it's a tragedy.
Yeah, he'll be missed. Absolutely.
It just sucks when somebody cuts short, and then you see Pee Wee Herman, who had a pretty long, full life, but it still hits you because you remember the joy he brought you all the way through when he was younger, even if you haven't heard his name in 10 years or whatever. So
it's always too soon.
It's always too soon. And we honor those here with Brian and Kenzie and Q101. And coming up after the Ataris, the Aftershock Festival trip can be yours.
The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.